I've been on Flippa for, I think, maybe 14 years now, and have completed maybe over 50 purchases, and just following uh, the right people and connecting with the right people is extremely powerful and a great indication of success. Yeah, my name is Mario Peshev. I'm doing a lot of things and wearing many hats, but I'm the CEO of Devrix, CEO of Rush, CEO of Growth Shadow. So I run several companies, also an angel investor and a business advisor for dozens more. So I get to keep myself busy, and I specialize in the e-commerce space in particular. We build stores and manage and extensions for all the different sides of the e-commerce ecosystems, and growing any other digital property that's also scaling through online commerce, which could be lead generation or selling services through a website and so forth. I can go on. It's a long journey, so I guess that's going to sum it up. I've been tracking the financial records of e-commerce companies for years now, and the two, well, we would like to call it the Holy Trinity. We may have it written down
Oh,
here. So the black triangle on the back is WooCommerce, Shopify, and Amazon, right? This is kind of the Holy Trinity that we're working on. And kind of looking into their financial records and kind of how they're performing, even over the past couple of quarters, like because 2023 is not performing as well as the previous year and the one before. We see that companies are overperforming and overachieving, both Shopify and Amazon and the broader Amazon, the Amazon ecosystem, like the hosting environment, which is also hosting WordPress websites. They are overperforming because there is demand for shopping. There are industries that are still up for grabs. Drop shippers aren't going anywhere, right? Brands aren't going anywhere if they build the right following, because they have loyal consumers willing to prioritize them and willing to make the most out of them by supporting the brands and just prioritizing funds for their own goods, right? So yeah, bottom line, e-commerce is definitely on the rise for all the right reasons. The pandemic has definitely facilitated that. A lot of people who used to just go to the supermarket or browse the mall or just cruise the local shopping center, they got more attuned to spending more time online and shopping online, more accustomed to digital payments, and generally getting used to spending more time shopping online. So to kind of sum it up, e-commerce is definitely growing. The pandemic has definitely facilitated that, and even the economic slowdown over the past year has not impacted the shopping behavior at large. A few years ago, I wrote a blog post, kind of a sci-fi essay on kind of what happens if people take one of the two extremes. So on the one hand, you go back to the form of, let's say, hardcore communism, where the government is the only one that's running organizations. So there's no LLCs or anything around that, right? So that's kind of on the one end. The other extreme is where every single person is their own entity, their own company, right? So even though it sounds comically, if you think of that, neither of the extremes has any uptick on the economic environment, meaning that if the government runs everything, there's no incentive to be creative, no innovation, no competition, no anything like that. If every single person runs their own company, you end up with, think about a restaurant, right? Your waiter is their own entity, your chef as well, your bartender, the manager. They run different companies, every single person, and you have like B2B relationship between them. They don't really have a specific uptake on kind of how they work. They're not incentivized. It's really hard to find them. It's really that level of bureaucracy doesn't really enable anyone to build a structure, a framework, and a management operating procedure to scale people, to train people, and kind of grow them. So I would say that over the next, let's say, 20 years, we're probably going to stay in a similar trend of having government-backed institutions and kind of government-backed funding, plus the startup ecosystem growing and just maturing, plus that freelance slash consulting slash contractor ecosystem just more or less staying the same. And over time, what we see is that people go through different stages and people go through ups and downs. Just throughout the pandemic, we had the Great Resignation, we had quiet quitting, we had silent return to the office, now we have return to the office, and so on. So people do need a form of change or kind of a breath of fresh air. Hey, we want to go and do everything on our own for now. And then they spend the year and say, no, that's actually too hardcore. We'd rather go and spend a couple of years in corporate and chill down a little bit and so on. Then they're, we're oppressed by the government. We need to do that again. So it's more like a jello, just something that you kind of expand and squeeze and stretch a little bit, then it gets back to normal. Like it's almost like a marathon. You run with a certain pace, we sprint up a little bit to catch up, then you slow down to recover, and then you move kind of back and forth. And what we just need to account for is innovation, and innovation comes from adopting technology. So what we need to account for is the next generations of people, like Generation Z, Generation Alpha, and kind of the upping generations. How are they raised? In most cases, with technology, with smartphones, with TikTok and Snapchat, and their consuming behavior just being attuned to whatever platform, system, medium of communication they're used to use. This is going to be the leading kind of path forward, but everything else, for the most part, is going to stay pretty stable as is. First one is diversify. Spend your spare time after hours over the weekend just building, acquiring the right property. It could be a small one, right? Just a starter Amazon ABA store or a Shopify store that has, $500 in sales per month or so. Just a starter one, and start playing with it. Start building on top of it and increment it. Number two is definitely join the right community, right? What I found out is on Flippa, I've actually spent a lot of time just sending DMs to other shoppers and like, hey, how is that working? Like, what's the secret behind that? Or let's say I acquire a property and then I hear back from the owner and say, hey, we have like 10 other properties, and you can buy them in bulk or so, or like you can do something else. And like if you buy 3 properties, we're going to like give you a training or do a like specific workshop on top of that or something like that, right? So the second one is just join the community and build the community. I've been on Flippa for I think maybe 14 years now, and have completed maybe over 50 purchases, and just following the right people and connecting with the right people is extremely powerful and a great indication of success. The third one is actually follow the trends. Pick a territory that you're interested in. Could be Amazon, could be Shopify, could be WooCommerce, could be FBA aggregators, D2C, B2B, SaaS. There's so many different categories. And kind of my piece of advice would be start to follow a trend and really spend the time on that. So being consistent in all of these endeavors, right? Doing a side gig, part-time after hours journey, and connecting with the right people, because you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and following the niche closely, like learning how it works, how it evolves, the market trends. I'd say you can't go wrong with that. This is just the recipe to success. I'm really excited about all the opportunities provided by Flippa, and I've seen so many people on both sides of the table, right? So buyers not sure how to start. And for us veterans, it's pretty clear, right? For, let's say, a Shopify store. Sign up for Shopify, install a specific theme. There's a bunch of 15 apps you can set up. You push some paid traffic, or you go on TikTok and push 5 videos and ABCDE, right? So there's a specific framework. It's not easy. Like, let me just state, it's not easy. There's a specific blueprint and framework that works for specific industries, ecosystems, target markets. So nailing it from the first or even second time, it's close to impossible. When you've been in the game for 10 years, it's pretty straightforward. So for newcomers, the best way possible is getting a website that's already up and running with a framework that's already up and running. So you just need to maintain it for a while, study it, and then start to slowly improve and gradually incrementally improve. And that is so powerful. Again, back in the day, we didn't even have websites like Stack Overflow or YouTube to learn that, right? We didn't have Shopify or Amazon or anything. And right now we have all of that at the tip of our fingers. So again, my best advice is just acquire a small or medium-sized, depending on kind of what you can afford your budget, and learn from it, right? If it's working, if there's an automated machine, a mechanism that's already getting the job done, just get it, start with it. And on the other side of the table, we have high school students and college students or people kind of working, trying to get some side income or so, building sites for flipping. And an incredible way to solve one problem and then start solving it at a scale with so many other properties to help the first category of future entrepreneurs.